Alrighty, I am here. Go ahead and blip that away. How's it going, everybody? I went ahead and just set up the games, that way people could start getting loaded in and all that. We just need one more, then we can get this show on the road. So far, we have Baron Shadow, Count Glenn. How's it going, Glenn? And we're waiting for a grandee. Once we get a grandee, we can begin the game. So that'll be exciting. Also, wonderful fellow streamer Moop Shark came along yesterday and gave me a follow. So we've actually achieved our 60 follower goal, baby! So, naturally, we gotta go ahead and start with the next one. Let's see here. And truly, there is only one acceptable goal after 60. There we go. Now we have a new follower goal. For the memes. Alrighty, how you doing, everybody? How's everyone feeling? I am audible, aren't I? Okay, cool. I've done a little bit of audio rebalancing, so I might need to tweak a little more. We'll see. I'm fine-tuning the setup. Good, just playing Ingy and Deep Rock Galactic. Hey, nice. Hell yeah, man. Alright, for those who would like to partake, you can type !join and then your preferred pronoun, he, she, or they, to join at any time. Once we get ourselves a grandee, we'll be able to get this show on the road. Give me just a second. I forgot to grab a drink, and so I'd rather not dehydrate in a game like this. BRB. back again, this time with beverage, so that way I don't just, wither away into a husk in my chair. That would be counterproductive to what I'm hoping for. My goal is to have a nice, long reign, maybe a bit of a military conquest here and there. We'll see. We'll see on the conquest. Depends how badly you all try to screw me over. Because ultimately, for those who don't know, in this game, I am playing as the king. I am King Willem of the Owain dynasty. You all are ambitious nobles trying to usurp King Willem's throne, representing one of the three great factions within the kingdom. We have the Barons of the March, the Counts of the East, and the Grandees of the South. Hey, how's it going, Haya? Also, before I forget, I need to go do a little something for this stream. Let's see here. I need to, let's see here. Alright, I've gone ahead and I have disabled ads. Well, not disabled ads, but disabled my ad schedule. So it should not just hit people with ads every 30 minutes or so. So it'll be manual ads, so I don't have to worry about people missing important votes. Also, Haya, I see you racking up the badges. Got the first and the number 1. Founder badge and Bits Leader 1. Out here flexing. Think I could convince you to exclamation point join he? Damn right. Yep. We just need one more player, and then we can get this game on the road. You use exclamation point join, and then your preferred pronoun, he, she, they. That'll get you into the game. Exclamation point join space he. There we go. Alrighty. So, now we've got ourselves a Baron, a Count, and a Grandee. Let's get this show on the road, shall we? Alright. So, let's go ahead and let's meet the Council. Who have we got? Chancellor. Now that you're the king, your first duty is to meet with a council of nobles. Your nobles hail all across the kingdom. The desolate east, the scorching south, and of course, the bleak march. Let's introduce ourselves to the Count of the East. Count Glen 149. An honor to finally make your acquaintance, your highness. May you escape the doom that befell your predecessor. Introduce ourselves to the Grandees of the South. Grandee Hayato. May the ninth god bless your reign, your highness. I trust you will conduct yourself with honor and faith. Let's introduce ourselves to the Barons of the March. Baron Shadow. Hail and well met, my liege. Under your leadership, we'll whip this kingdom into shape, With that, the introductions are done. The council hall immediately fills with raised voices as the nobles argue with each other and demand your favor. You sigh and sit back. Is this what the council is like? No wonder your father told you to avoid the throne at all costs. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and get our coronation done. Chancellor. Your Majesty, I've scheduled your coronation to take place in a week's time. Why the hurry? To delay any longer would make the nobles restless. And when nobles get restless, they grab their daggers and look for the nearest back. Well, we wouldn't want that, I suppose. As is tradition, the council will decide what happens at your coronation. What? But it's my coronation. This isn't an absolute monarchy, Your Majesty. Everything has to be run past a council vote, even this. Shall we call the nobles in? So, nobles. How this is going to work is we have a set of options here. When I hit start vote, you'll be able to vote for your favorite option. It is simple majority. Whichever one has the most votes is the selected option and is what will occur. If there is a tie between two options, I, the king, will get to break that tie. I also, as the king, have different laws of the land that I can apply. So I can do a monarch vote to mark which option is my preferred, and also it gets an extra vote. Or I can veto to remove one of these options. For now, though, have at it. Let's see how we're working. What are you thinking, my nobles? Are we going to host a lavish parade with jugglers and fountains of wine, force the commoners to swear a blood oath, throw the king into the river, or have the troops bear the king across the streets atop a shield? It'll be exclamation point and then A, B, C, or D for whichever your option is your preferred. And it seems our nobles are a little asleep. I believe it needs to be lowercase I. Lowercase shadow. Bruh. Fair. It's exclamation point vote and then A, B, C, D. That's what it is. It would help if we read that little red tooltip at the top. Oh, we're learning. Hey, how's it going, Ramses? Before you're able to vote, you'll need to join a faction. So type exclamation point join, and then he, she, or they, whichever your preferred pronoun is. Give people time to go ahead and filter in. It'll be exclamation point join he. Up here at the top, type exclamation point join, followed by your pronouns to join the game. And we should also have an extension, a little like overlay that you guys can use to see your personal wealth and all that. There we go. All right, we have Grandee Ramses. So now you can vote with your exclamation point vote ABCD to let your will be known. In the very first vote of the game. Alright, so looks like we are having this. Another long day on its way to tomorrow. Let's raise the spirits all for what is to come next. Here's a toast to another stream of strategy and banter. Hey, how's it going, contraption? I can toast to that. Good stuff. Alright, so 3 nobles voted for. Host a lavish parade with jugglers and fountains of wine. Let's do it. The coronation is a great success. Jugglers, wine, fireworks, and feast. It has an impact on your treasury, of course, but what doesn't? Alright, we now have Count Vimur and Baron Unknown Contraption. Let's go. It's now the path to victory. Spymaster. Your Majesty, when you die, how do you hope the kingdom will remember you? And I think King Willem Owain wants to be remembered as a conqueror. Let's try it again. A warrior king is sure to be remembered fondly if he wins more battles than he loses. I suggest over the next few years you focus on improving the kingdom's overall military as much as possible. Once you have an heir, I will return to discuss how your ambition is progressing. Good luck, Your Majesty. Alright, so with that, we have reached the end of this season. So, with the end of the season, we are now on to schemes. This is how your faction will win the game. So, Barons. This will be Shadow, an unknown contraption. Romy of the unknown contraption bloodline, sinister Marcher General, stands before a blazing hearth, yelling at full volume. When have the Barons of the March backed down from a fight? Never! I know you'll do what it takes to put me, your rightful monarch, on the throne. So, Barons, your options are sorcery, intimidation, or propaganda. How do you plan to put Romy on the throne? So this is specifically for the Marchers. Only our Barons can vote on this. A, B, or C. Let's see here. Contraption going for intimidation. Shadow. Also voting for intimidation. Goal is to raise stability. Okay. Hey, welcome Heavenly Chaos. Alright, so, Marcher's goal is intimidation. Raise stability. The Barons plan to hold the king hostage in his own palace. First, they must lull the spy master into a false sense of security. To advance their scheme, the Barons must raise stability to 5 or more in 4 seasons. And stability's already at 6 because we did the juggler fountains. Jugglers and fountains, I should say. Now then, scheme for the counts. So, counts. So this will be Glenn and Vimur. We've got Desdemona of the Vimur dynasty, eccentric Eastern bird breeder. She leans delicately on a podium, speaking in a melodious voice. My fellow counts, in ancient times the East was its own proud kingdom. We can bring back those days of glory, but not while the false King Willem wears the crown. So, counts. Your options are subterfuge, ascension, or possession. How do you plan to put your claimant, Desdemona, on the throne? This one is just for our counts here. A, B, or C? Counts seem to be considering their options. Alright. We've got a vote for Ascension. Alright. So, the Counts are going to go for the Ascension scheme. The Counts plan to induct the king into their secret cult and offer him immortality in exchange for the throne. First, they must reduce the power of the Eastern Church. To advance their scheme, the Counts must lower their faith to 4 or less in 3 seasons. And last but not least, Grandees of the South. Zakina of the Heavenly Chaos 99 lineage, infamous Southern Mischief Maker, stands bathed in sunshine, ranting in a fury. A false pretender occupies the throne, while my claim is ignored. Grandees of the South, this is a stain on our honor. We must not allow it to go unanswered. So, Grandees, this one is just for you. How do you plan to put your preferred claimant, Zakina, on the throne? Your options are uprising, fervor, or excommunication. So, Hayato, Ramses, and Heavenly. This one's up to you. Let's see here. We've got one coming in for excommunication. Alright. Grandy's goal is excommunication, lower stability. The Grandees plan to persuade the Archbishop to excommunicate the king. First, they must lower royal credibility. To advance their scheme, the Grandees must lower stability to 4 or less in 2 seasons. Alright, so The field is set. We have our claimants. We have our goal. We continue on to the laws of the land. So, every so often, I will get the option to bring a new law into play. So, I could get swing votes, which means people can change their votes after they've already voted. Royal gambles, that way I can sort of wager my treasury. But I like to cause a little chaos with reverse voting, at least once a game. Alright, and let's go ahead and start with the Honor Guard. Marshal. As is tradition, each region offers a selection of elite guards. The Counts, the Knights of the Order of the Drowned Rose, the Grandees with fierce battle nuns from the Sisterhood of Steel, and the Barons offer a squad of battle-hardened veteran soldiers. Unfortunately, we can't recruit the Marcher veterans. There's been a major scandal. Some of them were making up their military records. The medals were made of tin and the scars from farming accidents. Interesting. This is the first time I've seen this. They won't come into the capital until this blows over. You'll need to pick someone else. Fascinating. Alright. I'm sorry, Marchers, but apparently your veterans have been making up their glory. Tell me about the Eastern Knights. The Order of the Drowned Rose are highly respectable. They'll understand palace etiquette, but it's been years since they fought an actual battle. They mostly write poems these days. Tell me about the Southern Battle Nuns. Terrifying warriors, and they've sworn a vow of silence, so at least they won't spill state secrets. But their faith and loyalty is to the church above all, even your safety. I've made my decision. I await your verdict with bated breath, Your Majesty. And I'm thinking, I've got to get the Adepta Sororita. Let's get us some Southern Battle Nuns. I will make the arrangements at once. Let's go! The Battle Nuns arrive in the palace a few weeks later. They nod to you silently, their solemn steel masks betraying nothing, before filing into formation behind your throne. The Ninth protects. Alright, a new plague. Count Glenn, 149. Your Grace, the East has been struck with a plague, and not just any plague, a dancing plague. You're pulling my leg. This is no laughing matter, Your Grace. It affects everyone, even dogs and cats. We don't know how it started, but it's spreading quickly. Whole villages are dancing themselves half to death. So, what should be done about the dancing plague that has gripped the East? We can either quarantine the affected villages, pass a law that forbids dancing, or let it be. How bad is dancing anyway? So, this is a vote for all of our nobles. This one is not faction specific, so let thy will be known. Voting is live. $20 seconds. Ooh, the Grandees are a little split. We've got a Baron voting for A. Ooh, and Barons end up taking it. Alright. So, we are going to quarantine the affected villages. Though the move seems drastic to some, it's the only way to be sure this plague does not become a serious problem. The Counts agree to enforce your quarantine. Trade is now poor in the East. Only time will tell if it's an effective solution or not. And Counts, it sounds like you're having a bit of trouble right off the bat, because there's also an infestation of crawlers. Baron Shadow. Your Highness, our mutual friend, Count Vermeer, has discovered a nest of crawlers on a new tract of eastern farmland. Naturally, we barons recommend he fills the tunnels immediately, lest they spread to other regions and endanger our crops, but Vermeer refuses to do so. Count Vermeer. Peasants have gone missing, Your Grace. These crawlers are much more dangerous than they appear. Legends speak of crawlers living in great cities beneath the soil, taking the weak to be consumed. We should leave the land to them. They're not to be trifled with. Marshall, tell me more about these crawlers. Horrible. Cow-sized worms that live under the earth, with tiny, clacking legs like centipedes. They're rare, but formidable foes. They turn up unpredictably and attack whatever they find before retreating back into the earth. Nothing that well-organized troops can't handle, I'm sure. Assemble the council, then. Thank you, my liege. Alright, so, our options are we can either abandon the field to the crawlers, which I'm going to veto. So we can either fill in the holes and continue farming, or send someone into the tunnels to investigate. Let's get it started. 30 seconds. Let thy will be known. A has been vetoed. So your options are B or C. Fill in the holes, or send someone to investigate. Ooh, grandees have unified on C. Counts as well. Alright. Voting is closed. We are sending someone into the tunnels to investigate. Very well. Who will we send on this most unfortunate mission? We can either send soldiers from the east, hire adventurers to explore the tunnels, or this is a serious matter, send for a wizard. And this is up to me. I don't feel like butchering our troops on a coin flip, potentially. So I'm going to bite the bullet, and I'm going to hire the Adventurers Guild to do it. Adventurer, we won't let you down, your majesty. This is just the sort of thing we handle. Bid them farewell. 60% chance. Unfortunately, your investigators drop off the face of Celestath as soon as they leave on their journey to the tunnels. Oh boy! Count Vimmer bides his time, but many peasants move away. Farming is now fruitful, trade is now destitute in the east. Okay? With that, we end the season. So, occasionally we will have an auction, which is what we are at now. So, you can use your personal wealth, which should be in the extension. You can pull that up to see your own personal wealth, but I'll also pull up our noble list. So, you can use personal wealth to bid on buildings. Only the 2 highest funding buildings will be built. Use the command !fund XY, where X is the character code of the building and Y is the amount you are pledging. So for example, you would say do !fund A100. So, let's go ahead and begin the auction. You have 1 minute. Only the 2 most funded buildings will get built. So far we got 300 going out for the prison. Let's see here. We got 600 coming in for the observatory. Another 200 coming out for the prison, so 600, 500. There's still time for other buildings to get built here, though. There's still time and money. Alright, 20 seconds remaining. Be careful, some people might try to snipe in some last-second bids. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time is up. I think some people were just a second off. Alright, buildings funded. We have the prison and the observatory. Close to sniping it. Alright. So, stats have been adjusted. We've got stability 5, faith of 3. Let's see here. Finding a spouse. In the twisty passages of your castle, you can avoid your advisors, the nobles, even the spy master. But there's one person you can't avoid. Your mother. Why haven't you found a spouse yet? It's been almost a year. I've been busy, Ma. You'd better find the time. Don't worry. I'll take the liberty of finding eligible candidates. What's your preference? Men, women, or do you not mind? Women. Excellent. I'll send out messengers to the most influential noble families in the kingdom. Let's see what they have to offer. Alright, we got that set up relatively painlessly. Vultures in the east. Count Glen 149. Greedy southerner merchants are taking advantage of cheap eastern labor, Your Highness, exploiting our natural resources, and putting our trade companies out of business. They're vultures! Vultures! Grandy Ramses. Is it really such a problem? This is just business. So, we can either kick out the grandees and put trading companies back in eastern lands. Our treasury is too low for option B. So option C is it's just business, baby. Start vote. Let thy will be known. Alright, so far we got a vote for it's just business, baby. 2 votes. It's an even split so far between the 2 factions. Are the Barons gonna weigh in? Ooh, Baron Unknown Contraption weighs in on the side of the South. Okay. So, it's just business, baby. An utter travesty. I should have known better than to expect the council to be of any worth to anyone. Grandy Ramses. We are blessed. My companies are safe. Glad this council sees sense for once. The southern companies in the east continue to tick over nicely, siphoning money out of the region and making Grandy Ramses filthy rich. Trade is now opulent, and Grandy Ramses' wealth has increased from 1,000 to 2,500. Alright. And finally, over here in the south, stargazing. Grandy Ramses again. This simply can't go on, Your Majesty. These arch-boffins think they know everything, but they know nothing of the Ninth God's wrath. Scholar. Please, Your Majesty, we found a perfect site for an observatory, high in the southern hills, but it's on Grandy Ramses' lands, and he refuses to let us build there. Such things are heresy. The stars are just as big and close as the Ninth God intended. Who put you up to this idea, I bet it was one of those barons, like Unknown Contraption. Damn, he just voted with you. Throwing him under the bus, Ramses. Alright, so we can either try to construct the observatory, find a different site for the observatory, forbid the construction of it, or forbid construction and investigate the scholars' funding. We're not doing that. So, options are A, B, or C. 30 seconds. Make thy will known, my nobles. Should the scholars be allowed to build an observatory on Ramses' lands? So far, we got another grandee saying yes to constructing the observatory. Unknown Contraption and the rest of the grandees want to find a different site, and the counts remain enigmatic about it. They abstain from the voting. Alright, so find a different site for the observatory. You search far and wide for an alternative site in the southern hills, but the other grandees have similar concerns to Ramses. Eventually, the scholars reluctantly build their observatory in the Marcher Hills, but the lower elevation and poor weather makes it hard to glean any useful information from their stargazing. Within a few years, you imagine the place will be shuttered and closed. At least the nobles wasted their own money for once. Alright, let's go ahead and end the season. Back in the south. Far to the south, a pair of grandees are conversing on the balcony of a hillside villa. One of them paces up and down, clearly agitated. Grandy Ramses. Has the Archbishop agreed to meet with us yet? Grandy Heavenly Chaos. I sent him 4 letters last week. No luck so far. Hardly surprising. The old coot won't move against the king unless he knows he's on the winning side. The Grandee's aim is to lower the kingdom's stability to 4 or less. Alright, so now we are at tax season. So, I guess one thing to note is there's the trade bonus. The higher your region's trade stat, the more likely you are to get the trade bonus. And the trade bonus was the barons make 500 wealth, selling hides of animals they've ensured are rare. The other nobles all gain 200 wealth. And I, as the king, can choose to tax people additionally to help beef up my treasury, or I can simply leave it on the common tax. And you know, grandees, you do seem to be sitting on quite a healthy sum there. At least Grandee Ramses is, anyway. I think for now, I'll be kind, and I'll keep it on simply the common tax. Alright. So, that's the end of this season. How merciful, my lord? Yes, of course, of course. Eligible options here in the capital. Queen Mother. I have found 3 potential matches for you. 1 eligible young woman from each of the kingdom's 3 regions. Choose wisely, you'll be securing a powerful alliance. And a partner for life to have and to hold, don't forget. I suppose so, but the alliance comes first. Your mother leads you to the Great Hall, where she's arranged 3 portraits on easels. For now, each is covered by a cloth. Wait, I don't even get to meet them? There's no time for sentiment. You just need a match that befits your station and suits your political needs. She whisks away the cloth from the first portrait. This is Avina, the eldest daughter of the Eastern Vimur dynasty. Apparently, they had a hell of a time getting her to smile for this portrait. She had a laboratory installed in her castle, and spends most of her time there conducting bizarre experiments. The other counts think she's mad, because she treats the peasants far too nicely. Ah, yes, not the secret laboratory and constant experiments, but she's clearly crazy because she treats the peasants nicely. She's an intriguing candidate. From the south, Jeremiah, the eldest daughter of the Heavenly Chaos lineage. She's reputed to have an ego the size of the sun, but there's nothing wrong with confidence, right? She's an obsessive gambler, a pastime frowned upon in the south. It's been the cause of some scandal. She's tried her hand at a number of ventures, though they all seem to end in disaster. Not bad. Not bad at all. And finally, we have the March's offering. Emmy, scion of the prestigious Shadow bloodline. A typical baroness, really. Loud and brash and self-absorbed, but mostly well-meaning. Like most of the barons, her great passion is hunting. No beast is safe from her crossbow. Also got into a fight with her local bishop a couple years back. Gave him a bloody nose. Sounds like a laugh. What do you think? Of course, by picking a candidate, you'll anger the other regions, but you'll gain a lifelong alliance. Ooh. This is tough, because I do kind of need to lower Defiance over in the east. But do I really marry just to avoid a little political unrest? Show me Avina again. This is Avina, the eldest daughter of the Eastern Vimur dynasty. Apparently they had a hell of a time getting her to smile. Laboratory installed. She likes to conduct experiments. I don't want to provoke the counts too much, so I think in the interest of maintaining the peace, I'm thinking Avina of the East would make for a wonderful bride. Alright, Defiance is now aloof, Defiance is now grumbling, and Defiance is now cordial. Oh boy! But we have chosen our bachelorette. Alright. A pillar of the community, down in the south. Baron Unknown Contraption. My liege, I regret to have to bring this matter to you, but there's no other way. We've been tracking a macho criminal who's wanted in conjunction with a number of high-profile incidents back home. We thought she'd slipped the net until recently, when we discovered that she'd fled into the south a number of years ago. But the grandees are refusing to let us investigate further. Who is this criminal? We don't know her real name, but the common folk call her Backstab Penny. She's lied, cheated, and murdered her way halfway across the march. Grandee Hayato. Wait a moment, are you talking about Gold Touch Penny? She's a pillar of the community back in Haranza. She arrived a few years ago from the march and used her wealth to invest in local businesses and set up an orphanage. Everyone loves her. Surely you jest. Gold Touch Penny. This woman is a bloodthirsty criminal and must be punished. Alright. So, our options are to send Gold Touch Penny back to the march, allow Penny to stay in the south under the protection of the grandees, or we can summon her to the capital to answer to the king's justice. Let thy will be known. I'm curious, what are people's thoughts on this matter? Now, their thoughts are to make me deal with it. So far, at least. Ooh, it's an even split. We still have the votes of the counts and another baron, though. Unless... Ooh, there it is. Alright. Summon her to the capital to answer to the king's justice. When Backstab Penny arrives in the capital, she looks like any other sweet old lady. The sort of woman who gives local children candies against their parents' wishes. How can I help you, dearie? How do you plead to Baron Unknown Contraption's accusations? Oh dear, I'm afraid Unknown Contraption must have me mistaken for someone else. I swear by every god there is, Your Majesty, I've never pillaged anything but my pantry. Why did you move to the south? I always liked it there. The people are so delightfully, different, and they love orphans, just like me. Have I mentioned that I love orphans? They remind me of myself. I was an orphan for as long as I can remember. Why do you have the same name as this outlaw? Oh, well, there's lots of people from the march called Penny. It's a very common name. Even my mother was called Penny. You were an orphan since birth, but you know your mother's name? Suddenly, Penny's face shifts. She adjusts her posture, standing up straighter, and stares you right in the eyes. All right, you got me. I'm Backstab Penny, but I'm reformed now, see? Ask the orphans. Do we have any orphans to ask? Chancellor, no, Your Majesty. We didn't think it was really important to bring along. Do you think your good deeds wash out the bad? I hope so, my liege, or else I wouldn't have done them. It's all much of a muchness, really, though, ain't it? I've already admitted I'm the one Unknown Contraption was looking for, that pompous idiot. So, what are you going to do to me? Damn. Your Grace, please let her return. She is reformed. She does claim she's doing good. But, send her to me. Oh, Lord. Spare her, my lord. She has lied multiple times. It's true, she did lie. She did lie to the king. But is that truly worth beheading her for? She also admitted it right after. I believe that there is a chance for atonement for all of us. She would get a death. Yeah, it would most likely be a death sentence to send her to the barons. I believe There's a chance for goodness in all of us, a chance for atonement for the wrongs we have committed. And so, seeing as she has committed to this path for years, without any sort of incident in the south, I will allow her to return.
Great God, Your Majesty, why? She just admitted to her crimes!
Penny reassumes her old lady persona with a smile, then returns to Haranza. She continues to care for orphans, water plants, and enjoy her twilight years in relative peace. The king's justice can be fickle indeed. Don't forget the favor I've done you. We'll also watch her to keep peace if needed. Good. She's been good so far, and I'd like to believe that she can continue to be of aid to the kingdom. The crawler problem. Baron Shadow. It has been many moons since we last heard from the adventurers we sent into the tunnels on Count Vermeer's land. We must act before this crawler menace spreads to other regions. Peasants disappear, and sinkholes swallow villages whole, while Vermeer hides in his castle and does nothing. Count Vermeer.
Belligerent fool! Imagine their retaliation if we anger them directly. I would rather abandon my estate.
So, we can either pay Count Glen 149 to host Count Vermeer as he abandons the area, gather the barons to fight this menace on the open fields, evacuate everyone from the area, including the peasants, or do nothing and see if the crawlers retreat on their own. Oh. Well, I'm sorry, but our treasury is still a little sparse. We cannot afford to give more than half of it to Count Glen. Alright. Let thy will be known. $10 now. It's looking pretty unanimous. Ooh, but we have one naysayer who wants to do nothing. Count Glen. Alright, voting has closed. 5 nobles voted to evacuate everyone from the area. Alright. Let's see. All those living near the tunnels are steadily relocated, including Count Vermeer and his family. Farming is now needful, trade is now desperate, defiance is now loyal. The land is completely abandoned to the crawlers. After a while, it will surely fall into legend. Alright, that's the end of that season. Hiding from the church. In a tiny village far to the east, 2 counts meet in a derelict tavern. No one dares even glance in their direction. Count Vermeer.
Another priest left my estate today. He said there was no sense preaching to the truly lost.
Count Glen.
I've heard the same across the east. We are no longer trapped under the church's thumb. Now we must not falter. If the king grows proud, we can offer him the ultimate reward, immortality.
For the next stage of their scheme, the counts must raise authority to 5 or more in 4 seasons. And let's see here. Swing votes. Stop. I'm going to pick up Stop the Count in place of my Monarch's vote. Alright. So, the royal wedding. Your wedding to Avina is, naturally, the talk of the kingdom. Nobles and peasants alike travel from across the realm to attend. For a week and a day, the capital is one giant party. It feels like you're the only one not taking part. Instead, you're getting ready for the ceremony. Soon enough, you're standing in St. Bertrand's Cathedral with Avina at your side. Archbishop.
Do you take this woman as your lawfully wedded wife?
I do.
Then I pronounce you king and wife.
After the wedding, of course, there's a feast. And after the feast, a dance. Your new wife Avina refuses to dance at all, preferring to instead brood in the corner. Alright. By the time you find yourself alone with Avina, it's past midnight and you've never felt more tired. Avina. Did you see the 8 crows perched on the church's tower as we walked into the cathedral? A dire omen. Perhaps you're right. The peasants have the right idea. They get married for love, not for politics. Oh, to live the simple life of a commoner. There. We're both in this together. You comfort Avina long into the night, listening as she expresses her doubts and fears. As dawn breaks, she falls asleep on your shoulder, exhausted. Alright. Industry is collapsing over in the east. Oh boy. Treasurer. Your Majesty, mass unemployment and unrest have arisen in the east. Businesses are going bankrupt, mills shutting down. People are calling it a Great Depression because it's making everyone miserable. Count Vermeer.
Yes, my investments have all gone up in smoke, and it's the same for all the other counts. We must find a way to lift the East out of poverty.
Stability is now stable. Some counts' wealth has decreased. The counts are bankrupt. Treasury's too low. We cannot bail out the bankrupt businesses, so we can either provide jobs digging ditches and building roads. We could turn them into soldiers, or we can tell the peasants to stop buying so much turnip toast. And I'm going to veto B. So, let thy will be known. Unknown contraption wanting to raise the military. Meanwhile, the grandees, Heavenly Chaos, are simply wanting to tell off the peasantry. Surprisingly, Heavenly Chaos stands alone, as Hayato and Ramses look towards sea. Okay, let's do it. Remember, Grandees, your goal is to lower stability to 4 or less. You begin the process of mass conscription, forcing the unemployed eastern peasants to be productive by shoving longbows into their hands and telling them to practice hitting sacks of straw at 50 paces. The eastern army swells in size, but the economy is still in shambles. The counts grumble that their investments are losing value by the day. Military is now powerful, defiance is now cordial. Alright. And costly crossbows. As you're walking beside the palace parade grounds, a crossbow bolt whizzes past your head and shatters against the wall behind you. Baron Shadow approaches, out of breath and waving frantically. He has a sleek, fancy-looking crossbow nestled in one hand. Bloody hell, your majesty! I nearly took your head off! What in the 7 hells are you doing with that? Sorry to scare you. I just wanted to show you this crossbow. It can shoot 3 bolts in a minute and punch through Ashmedian armor at 500 yards. Beautiful, isn't she? Trouble is, to achieve such accuracy and power, she needs to be crafted from springwood. It grows only in the forests of the south. Those southern bastards charge exorbitantly for it. That's the free market, I suppose. Pah! If this is what the free market looks like, let's put it in chains, is what I say. The barons of the march are guarding your borders, your highness. Yet we can't afford to buy these weapons we need. If you want to keep your kingdom safe, the grandees must stop price gouging. Grandee Ramses. Your holiness, this is an outrage. These barons just want a bargain. So, we can either put a price cap on the sale of springwood, order the grandees to send springwood to the barons for free, refuse to limit the free market, or plant a springwood grove in the march. And I've already used my veto. Rip. What's the new goal? It should say in your extension, but for counts, it is to have authority at least 5 in 4 seasons. Alright. That said, let thy will be known. Ooh, we got all kinds of options coming up here. Ramses wants to refuse to limit the free market. Hayato wants to put a price cap on it, at the very least. Glenn wants to have the grandees send it to the barons for free. And voting is tied at 2. And I am going to choose the option that raises military. We're going to put a price cap on the sale of Springwood. Grandee Ramses. At this price, you're practically telling us give away our precious Springwood. There's no profit. What are we supposed to do? Starve? Obviously, the grandees don't starve, but their trade suffers. Trade is now opulent. Some grandees' wealth has decreased. Meanwhile, the barons are thrilled with their shiny new crossbows. Military is now powerful. Alright, it's in that season. Outwitting the Spymaster. Deep in the forests of the March, Baron Unknown Contraption has gone boar hunting with a few of his close friends. Baron Unknown Contraption. Our plans are going better than expected. The Spymaster thinks that all's well in the kingdom, and while the cat's away, the mice shall play. Baron Shadow. Cats aren't the best for getting rid of mice. You're better off with a terrier. I think you missed the point of my analogy. Never mind. Our next step is to replace the palace watch with our own agents. Should be easy enough. If the king can't pay them, then the watch will look for money elsewhere. For the next stage of their scheme, the barons must lower the treasury to 1,500 or less in 2 seasons. Oh boy. Warning, the monarch currently has no heir. I'm working on it. Let's see here. Requisitioning rare agents. Avina. Ah, Willem, I've come to ask a favor. I recently purchased a very rare reagent for one of my alchemical studies. A small vial of Tauyoran frankincense. Lamentably, it's been delayed. I was buying it from Grandee Heavenly Chaos. Could you ask her about it, if you have time, of course? I'll look into it. Most pleasing. Let me know how you fare. You summon Grandee Heavenly Chaos to the council chambers the next day to talk in private. Greetings, Your Majesty. What can I do for you? I need to buy a small vial of Tauyoran frankincense. Oh, you've come on behalf of your wife, haven't you? Alas, I cannot give you the frankincense just yet. I was led to believe that the frankincense was to be used in a holy ceremony, as it is regular down in the south. But recently I've heard disturbing rumors that your wife wants to use it to conduct devilish rituals and experiments not sanctioned by the ninth god. Until I am convinced that this isn't the case, alas, I cannot hand anything over for fear of invoking the wrath of the ninth god. Keep it then, she'll have to do without. Give me the incense or you'll know the meaning of holy wrath. The frankincense will only be used for holy rituals. You have my word. Very well, Your Majesty. I shall take you at your royal word. Avina receives the frankincense before week's end. She is most pleased with it. Unfortunately, the grandees are quick to find out the truth, and just what your royal word is worth. News of your wife's heretical experiments spread far and wide. Oops. It happens sometimes. We all, I plead oopsie daisy. And the quarantine continues. Count Glen 149. Your Majesty, do you recall the quarantine you ordered to deal with the dancing plague? It's been many months since anyone last entered or left the affected area. We think the plague may have run its course. We ask your permission to lift the quarantine. So, we can either lift the quarantine, continue the quarantine indefinitely, hire an adventurer to check that it's safe, or send Count Glen 149 to check if it's safe. And I'm not letting my treasury take that big of a hit. I'm vetoing it. What's it gonna be? I think we lift the quarantine is the option that makes the most sense. But we'll see. Unknown Contraption wants to send the Count to check. "10 seconds now. Let thy will be known." All right. We're sending Count Glen 149 to check. Me, Your Grace? You can't be serious. It's just safer that way. Dance till you're dead. Despite Glen 149's protests, the king's word is final. He is sent into the quarantine zone. You hope to hear back from him soon. Brutal. Itching for a fight. Baron Unknown Contraption. Your Majesty, we in the March have finished a complete reorganization of our new army. It truly is a powerful beast now. Yes, very lovely. Moreover, I was hoping the Crown might be willing to host some military exercises. The soldiers are restless. Can you define exercises for me? We just need a suitable campaign to whet our swords and spears. An unbloodied army isn't worth its salt, I say. Let's see what the council thinks. Treasurer, instead of a costly war, Your Highness, we could establish mercenary companies that fight abroad and take a healthy cut of the profits. Marshal, or if Your Majesty wishes to gain something more than gold, we could use our might as intended and make inroads into Tavolin, whose meager army will surely be no match. So, we can either establish mercenary companies loyal to the barons, start a border dispute with Tavolin, embark on a full-scale invasion of the Ashmedian Empire, or deny the barons their foolhardy exercises. So, I'm going to set up Stop the Count, which means you will have 15 seconds. Go ham. It's going to stop automatically once the timer's out. You have 10 seconds. Let thy will be known. Go, go, go. Quick, quick, quick. 3, 2, 1. Whoo! Barely. Alright. So, I can either start a border dispute with Tavolin or deny the barons their foolhardy exercises. Let's start a border dispute. I want to be a conqueror. Let's conquer Tavolin. Citing a centuries-old agreement between the kingdom and the Ashmedian Empire, which once ruled Tavolin, the barons' forces soon occupy a small strip of land on the Marcher-Tavolin border. Defiance is now aloof, stability is now teetering, authority is now imperious. The Marcher battalions see action, but not enough, as the locals' resistance is paltry. Meanwhile, you await word from the Tullivan-esque queen. Oh, hey, would you look at that? I think our border actually expanded down here. Maybe? Yeah, we got Tavolin down here, and then the Ashmedian Empire. Out to the west, we've got the Isle of Sol, Kurth, Danea, Valamir, and Atesh. And to the north is the Frozen Wastes. Alright, what's in the season? Back in the south. Back in the south, the plot to have the king excommunicated is picking up momentum. 2 grandees stand on a balcony overlooking the city of Tinamesca. Grandee Ramses. The city may look peaceful, but underneath it's nothing but discontent. All across the kingdom, peasants are sharpening their cutlery and barricading their shacks. Grandee Heavenly Chaos. They know a storm is coming, and who better to blame but the king himself? Exactly. The commoners are afraid, and it's time for them to find their faith. For the next stage of their scheme, the Grandees must raise all regions' faith to a combined total of at least 10 in 4 seasons. Okay, this is a lot of faith. Speaking of which, we have options to up faith and down faith. So, nobles, it is auction time. So, let us begin. And Chaos, you are on the side of the Barons. Baron's goal currently is to reduce treasury for an intimidation scheme. I got you, Chaos. Don't worry. Yeah, you are with the Barons. Goal currently is to lower treasury for intimidation. 35 seconds. Only the 2 most funded buildings will be built, and we've got a big one coming in for E. Ramses putting big money onto the cathedral. All good, Heavenly. Sorry for the confusion. All right. So far, we've got E and F coming in. 10 seconds now. If you're going to snipe, remember, there is a slight delay on the stream, so you got to be quick. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up. All right. Buildings funded. We got Ramses donating for the cathedral and Unknown Contraption donating for the deer park. All right. About your heir. Your marriage to Avina has grown strong and steady, like an old castle wall. Though it began as a political arrangement, it's blossomed into something like love. It's high time you thought about an heir. Congratulations are in order. The royal wedding was a magnificent affair. I'm very happy, thank you. Your happiness isn't as important as fulfilling your duty to the kingdom, but I'm glad you found a way to have both. You've done well so far, but something's still missing. An heir. You need someone young, whose loyalty is assured. A child of your own would do the trick, even if they're a bastard, or the youngest of your many cousins. My wife and I will have a child together. Ah, the traditional method. No one will object to that. I'll arrange for you to take a month off ruling, so you can get down to business. And rumors of bribery. Spymaster. Your Majesty, I've heard some disconcerting whispers about Baron Unknown Contraption of the March. He's been discreetly offering coin to your palace watch. Just gifts, he says. Gifts of enough coin to retire with. What is he playing at? The Palace Watch have been grumbling about their low wages recently. If we don't give them a raise, these bribes will look very appealing. Fortunately, we can't give them anything with the treasury as low as it is. We need to bring this matter to the council, Your Majesty. Very well. Assemble them at once. Just want to say that even though this is the first time I've played, this is fun. Hey, I'm glad you're enjoying it, Ramses. Also, Baron Unknown Contraption.
By my honor, you don't have a shred of proof of any of this. Don't make me laugh. I trust the rest of the council will join me in scorning these lies.
So, we can either take emergency measures to boost the treasury, sack the current watch and rehire from scratch, or these are baseless accusations. So, my grandees, my counts, I have helped you both in the past. I have helped you plenty of times. And so I ask that you help me now, and we vote for A. We need to raise our treasury to prevent the barons from entering the endgame. If you want to have a chance at winning, we need to make sure that the barons don't overtake us all now. So, let's vote A, shall we? I'm close to getting the 8.5k points. Oh, Lord. Contraptions almost got enough for the burden of dedication. You have made a grand mistake. I dare say it was not a mistake. I simply do what must be done. Alright, we will take emergency measures to boost the treasury. You order the mint to produce more coins. The sudden rise in inflation causes food prices to rise enough to leave thousands starving. It's fine. It's fine. Most of the extra cash goes straight to the Palace Watch. Hopefully this will buy their loyalty. Alright. Tavalani's correspondence. Chancellor. A letter, Your Majesty, from Queen Emmeline of Tavalan. Dearest King Willem, I regret to have learned that a number of soldiers bearing the banners of your barons have occupied the edges of my territory. I'm sure this is a very unfortunate misunderstanding. Still, I ask you to desist immediately. The consequences of not doing so will be severe. My Gaunt will be watching as always. P.S. I know about your nut allergy.
How does she know about my nut allergy?
Most likely the Gaunt obtained the information for her. They're a shadowy rumor, but we believe they are Tavalan's network of expert spies and assassins. So she's threatening me. I would assume so, yes. So, we can either withdraw the Baron's forces from Tavalin, go on the offensive, taking as much territory as possible, or continue to occupy the border regions and wait for the Tavalin to retaliate. Let's see here. Go ham. Who's been selling secrets? Yeah, they sold me out. They told the spies of my nut allergy. I'm gonna die. Let thy will be known. 13 seconds. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And fun fact, I turned on reverse voting for that one. Let's go! We will continue to occupy the border regions and wait for Tavalin to retaliate. The Barons continue to hold their newly gained territory, though some are clearly eager to push further. You hear nothing from Queen Emmeline, and her troops only provide a token resistance. Still, you know you will have to watch your back. Ah, memes. I told you, I always do a reverse vote once. It's fun. I can't resist a little chaos. Blackmail and bribery. Somewhere in the march, Baron Unknown Contraption sits at a banquet, gnawing on a greasy chicken leg. He and his fellow plotters discuss their scheme between mouthfuls. Some bribes have been accepted, but not enough. The king is paying the Palace Watch well enough that their loyalties aren't easily swayed. Baron Shadow. So we have some of the watch in our pocket. Isn't that enough? No, not yet. We can't make a move until we're sure we won't be discovered. The Baron's aim is to lower the treasury to 1,500 or less. Speaking of my treasury, baby, it's tax time. Trade bonus. The grandees make 500 wealth from a series of canny investments. Other nobles gain 200 wealth. Let's see here. We do have some pretty wealthy barons. They've been enjoying their little campaign into Tavalin. I'm not too desperate for treasury, but also having a fat treasury doesn't hurt at all. I'll behave myself. I was debating a cruel tax. I cannot deny. I was thinking about it. But I don't want to antagonize our border defenders too heavily. So I believe the common tax will continue to suffice. Burden of what? Oh, the burden of dedication? I believe that's the name of the redeem. Yep, the burden of dedication. Alright. And, real quick, I need to go use the restroom, so I will be back in just a moment. BRB. 1 second. all done. Okay, so news from the quarantine zone. Hey, Glenn's back. Count Glenn 149.
Your Grace, I have returned.
Don't feel the need to dance, do you?
No, Your Grace, I've returned unharmed. The plague has run its course, and the people are alive, though I fear they will never dance again.
Are you sure they're not still infected?
Yes, Your Highness, I spent plenty of time with the people there. I saw not a single unwanted bounce or shimmy. Humbly, I asked the council to lift the quarantine so the East can return to normal.
And yes, we're lifting the quarantine, okay? Let thy will be known. I love democracy. I love the Republic. If it shall be the only option. I'm probably going to regret using my veto, but we need to help the East heal at least a little bit. Because the East is a little messed up. So, we left the quarantine. Trade is now destitute. Cats are grateful, and formerly quarantined merchants are soon trudging gracelessly throughout the kingdom. Although the former dancers will never be the same, the region gradually returns to business as usual. Yep, still completely impoverished. Unfolding chaos. Chancellor. There's an unusually large number of petitioners today, Your Majesty. Ooh. I can either hear from the Grandees, hear from Chaos, or hear from Count. We can lower the trade at the East again. No. Tell me about your issue, Baron Chaos. Your Highness, someone has been burning my fields and raiding my villages. They're much too organized to be some petty bandit clan by the 9th. They're like ghosts in the night, always gone before dawn and covering their tracks. Uh-oh. Oh, I have to deal with all of them. I'll hear from the Grandees next. A whole battalion of my soldiers have gone missing, Your Highness. Holy shit, Hayato. A whole battalion? By the 9th, you don't think they're the ones causing trouble for barons, do you? Why are you here, Count Vermeer? Someone's been attacking my trade caravans in the east, Your Highness. They're not even targeting anything in particular, just looking to cause maximum havoc. It's those deserters for sure, the same ones going after Baron Chaos. So, deserters are the root of your problems? Uh-oh, stability. There's more to it yet, Your Majesty. Payments have been siphoned off from our tax collections. A large amount of our expected income is missing. Oh! My heart. Oh! Stability is now flawless. We almost lost the game. So, fun fact, if stability or authority hits 0, we all lose, essentially. Oh, Lord.
Someone has also been convincing priests of the 9th God to preach against you, condemning your war in Tavalin as the influence of the 7th God.
Tavalin, do you think it's related? Absolutely, Your Majesty. Queen Emmeline is a cunning woman, and her network of spies is legendary. This is likely the retaliation that she promised. I advise caution. Anyone here could be on her payroll. Ooh. We must call a vote. If I don't call a vote, if I didn't do it, then I'm sure I would have dropped stability to 0. Ah, damn. Alright, start the vote. I think we need to pull out of Tavalin. Which bites, but those cowards won't even fight us in the field. Except for petty little skirmishes. Ooh. Baron Chaos wants to stay in, though. Alright, voting is closed. The Baron soldiers retreat from Tavalen, giving up all the ground they had gained, though not without a great deal of backlash and accusations of cowardice. Ouch. The plots within the kingdom simmer down overnight, and the deserters disappear. But even now, Tavalen's agents are all around you. Yeah, that's a problem. Speaking of which, prying eyes. Count Vermeer. Your Majesty, you are of course the greatest king of this century. Is there something you're after? Your Majesty, I seek only to tell you the truth as I see plain. But your power could be greater. Death comes for us all. But what if it didn't have to? What if you could be the greatest king for all millennia? I won't lie. That sounds delightful. Most pleasing, Your Majesty. I think we may be of one mind, and I believe you are strong enough to take the opportunities I hold. I can arrange more meetings, that way we may discuss this matter further. The door bursts open. High Inquisitor. Ah, I see he got to you before I could. Your Majesty, the Counts are trying to prop up your ego. My agents tell me they aim to recruit you into a cult of immortal blood drinkers. What nonsense, Your Majesty. Whatever could she be talking about? I'd like to hear more about this another time. Count Vermeer shoots you a quick smile and a nod. The High Inquisitor looks furious. The Church will never let you get away with this, nor will the Council! So we can either force the monarch to officially refuse to join this cult, prevent the counts from seeking private audiences with the king, delay the scheme for a season, or leave the counts to their business. They already don't have enough, but who knows? Maybe it passed the check, and so it's essentially saved. We'll see. Make they will be known. They're gonna bully me into not joining a cool immortal cult? Come on, guys. Come on, what could go wrong? Surely nothing could go wrong. Fine. Force the monarch to officially refuse to join this cult. The nobles leave you no choice. You sign a statement saying that you're not interested in immortality. Not one bit. Okay, fine. Truth and lies. While playing a game of chess in an austere castle, two counts of the East discuss their schemes against the crown. Count Vermeer. By the blood of the dead, the king must get a grip on the kingdom. Count Glen 149. We can't allow him to join our secret society of immortals when he can hardly keep the crown on his head. The count's aim is to raise authority to at least 5. And let's see here. Let's go ahead and get Call to Unity. Continue to the Rebellion report. So, the Barons of the March are on the verge of rebellion, though they're not there yet. They haven't rebelled just yet, but they can, because if the Defiant stat of your particular region, so in the Baron's case 5, is higher than both the Authority and the Stability, so essentially because Authority is higher, it only checks against Authority. Authority is 3, Defiance is 5. The Barons of the March could go into rebellion. However, if the Barons go into rebellion, they would not be able to make any progress on their scheme. So, in the meantime, panic in the council. Oh boy! Baron Chaos. Your Highness, I bring bad news from the march. We are receiving reports of Grandee Heavenly Chaos. I am sure your news can wait. I bring urgent tidings from the south that demand the king's attention at once. Wait your turn, you ignorant dolt. Count Glen 149. Why don't you settle your quarrel outside? Meanwhile, I have news from the east that really is urgent. God, you're all giving me a headache.
Order in the march has broken down, my liege. Some battalions have killed their own officers and begun roving the wilderness, acting like common bandits. Is that all? Upon my honor, the cities of the south are being consumed with riots on a weekly basis. Our citizens want to overthrow the king and elect a more competent ruler. My news is worse still. The eastern courts are corrupt, your majesty. Judges are letting off the vilest criminals in return for the slightest bit of coin. Chancellor, all these problems have arisen because the kingdom is increasingly unstable, your majesty. Something must be done. Agreed. Make sure these issues are dealt with, my Chancellor. Unfortunately, we lack the resources to tackle all of these problems at once. We must vote on which matter to prioritize. So, we could either bully the East's trade into the dirt that little bit harder, lower faith in the South, or we could see about hunting down the deserters. So, grandees want to keep their faith, and I'm sure the rest of you, counts, barons, would prefer that they didn't. Now that I've put the idea in people's heads, let the voting begin. "20 seconds now, A, B, or C. If the vote ends up tied, I get to pick. 10 seconds. Grandees rally on A. Anyone else? Ooh. Chaos. Also wanting to hunt down the outlaws and deserters. And the counts remain enigmatic. Alright, hunt down the outlaws and deserters in the march. Thanks to a helpful snitch, your marshal discovers the location of the outlaws' hideout in the march. Over the next month, the deserters are subject to swift public trials, followed by even swifter public executions. The army is depleted, but much more disciplined. The crisis in the march has been quashed, making the kingdom as a whole slightly more stable, but the nobles of other regions feel that you're ignoring their problems. Yeesh. Treasure hoard. Marshal. Your Majesty, I've received a letter from Baron Chaos. There's trouble brewing. So? It's serious. An insurrection. It all started when the peasants got hungry. They surrounded Baron Chaos's fortress and are demanding they give up their riches. Do they have riches to give up? According to the peasants, their great-great-great-grandfather was quite a collector of antiquities. They asked the council to send aid. So, we can either gather marcher forces to remove the peasants, make Baron Chaos pay the peasants to leave, or give Baron Chaos money to pay the peasantry. Okay. So on one hand, I want to veto lowering my treasury. On the other hand, if I veto lowering the treasury, then that is cause enough for rebellion. Because I would have stopped them. Grandees are going to advance to endgame. And so they would simply go into open rebellion. So for now, make thy will be known. Marchers, just know, if they vote against you, I had nothing to do with it. Hiya. Ayo. Grandees helping out the barons. They'll both enter endgame together? Question mark? Okay. Well, Defiance is now grumbling. Treasury is lower. Stability is now civil. Rebellion halted. Defiance is below authority or stability. There we go. So, no more rebellion. We've quashed that for the time being. And Stone Maiden. Grandee Ramses. Behold, your holiness,
Grandee Ramses pulls aside a tarpaulin to reveal a granite statue of Grandee Hayato. The statue is impeccably detailed, its expression a frozen grimace. A sad sight, is it not? The sculptor is most talented. Nay, your majesty, this is no statue. It seems the Stone Maiden is abroad in the south. Well, I know she's abroad. She's called the Stone Maiden. This is no laughing matter. She's a walking statue with burning yellow eyes. All who meet her gaze are turned to stone. She sleeps for years at a time before waking and terrorizing the kingdom. She must have ambushed Grandee Hayato on his latest vineyard inspection. Please, your majesty, we must do something. Grandee Hayato has died. Hayato II has joined the council. So, we don't have enough money to hire a wizard to take care of this. We can send an army to smash this thing to rubble. 0% chance. Okay. Tell everyone in the south to hide, which is an authority check that I can't pass. Or consult the fairy tales for a solution. How are we going to try and deal with the Stone Maiden? What's it going to be? Under 20 seconds now. Guys, it's a chance roll. We are sending the Southerners to die. They have a military strength of 2. Deplete your military? Oh, damn you. I need that military. Southern troops find the Stone Maiden waiting for them in a foggy swamp, her eyes blazing through the swirling mist. She beckons. They raise their weapons and charge. Her deadly gaze sweeps across them, turning thousands of soldiers to stone in a second. Ooh! Grandee Ramses. You should have seen this coming! You can't fight the Stone Maiden with an army! Defiance is now enraged. Farming is now meager. Stability is now teetering. The Stone Maiden, enraged, stalks the south for weeks on end, turning thousands of peasants into twisted granite figurines. At long last, she retreats to her lair deep underground and falls asleep once more. On the bright side, the Grandees now have plenty of oddly realistic statues to sell. Trade is now monopoly, and some Grandees' wealth has increased. Grandees? You want to talk about it? Alright. Blackmail and bribery. Baron unknown contraption. Luck is with us, my friend. The palace watch are in our pocket. They took our money gladly. The kingdom can barely afford to pay them a living wage. Baron Shadow. Music to my ears. Soon the throne will be ours. Indeed it will. But now we must plan our next steps. So, you can either kill the king and place your own claimant on the throne, your goal is to lower authority, or control the king with the threat of assassination, raise own military. This is for our barons only. What's it gonna be? Baron Shadow, Baron Chaos, Baron Contraption. What's the plan? Ooh, alright, unanimous A. Kill the king and place their own claimant on the throne, lower authority. Over the next few months, we'll have our troops infiltrate the capital, disguised as beggars. At my signal, they'll gather and storm the palace in the dead of night. The bribed watch will open up the gates. Our soldiers will murder the king in his bed and have our claimant on the throne before sunrise. Ruthless. I like it. What about the counts and grandees? They'll call us usurpers and rise up in revolt. Not necessarily, my friend. If King Willem's rule is weak enough, we can persuade them to accept anything. For the final stage of their scheme, of the Baron's scheme, they must lower the kingdom's authority to 1 or less. Okay, this is fine. Alright. So the Barons have been brought to heel. They can no longer start a rebellion, but the Grandees are on the verge of rebellion. Anyway, your heir. Your quest for an heir is finally complete. You stand before the council holding a small child in your arms. Should I die, I ask that my crown be passed down too. The council hall is filled with nervous silence. My son. The assembled nobles break out into polite applause. By designating an heir, you've cemented the stability of your kingdom. Baron Chaos. Your Highness, may I be the first to congratulate you on the birth of your son. What is his name? Willem II. Huzzah, my liege. I'm sure little Willem II will grow up to be a chip off the old block. Congratulations on finding an heir. Now you just need to fulfill your ambition to win the game. Expect a visit from the Spy Master soon. Okay. Let's see here. Pushing for change. After a particularly long session at council, Avina comes to find you in your chambers. It must be exhausting dealing with all those nobles arguing. I wish they could set aside their differences once in a while. I know exactly what you mean. I was thinking, what if we did something to make things better? I've been reading scholars' papers about these herbs you can find in the Crownlands. You can use them to treat wounds, but no one's done it on a wide scale before. If I had the equipment and reagents, we'd do all kinds of research to help people. Ordinary people, too, not just the nobles with the money for doctors. We'll need to be careful with the budget. Yes, I understand. I'll do whatever I can. She kisses you on the cheek before hurrying out to enact her plans. Military is now mighty. Hey, let's go east. Speaking of which, an eerie feeling. Count Vimer. I am most pleased with the new observatory we built on my land, but the scholars believe that the observatory is cursed, and they refuse to spend more than an hour under its roof. That's inconvenient? Yes, lamentably. Nobody can tell me why they think it's cursed. They just say it gives them a creepy feeling. What should we do? So we can either have the High Inquisitor perform an exorcism, 0% faith, raise the observatory to the ground, paint puppies and clowns all over the observatory to make it creepy, or order the merchants to stop complaining. I'm going to veto raising the observatory, and let's see here. Counts, barons. Whenever you fail a stat check, that stat is likely to go down. If the faith remains too high, the grandees will move into the end game of their scheme. So, if we fail a faith roll, you might be able to knock it down a peg. Make thy will be known. 25 seconds. I think you might have been a second early there, contraption. There we go. 3, 2, 1. Voting is tied at 2. So, we'll have the High Inquisitor perform an exorcism. The High Inquisitor reports back a few weeks later. It's not good news. I didn't find any hubs, witches, ghosts, or demons inhabiting the observatory, but something is very wrong with the place. The Inquisition has failed you, Your Highness. We should shut down the whole observatory while we identify which evil for... Really? Fascinating. Okay. So it came out neutral. Alright, the southern plot. Deep in the south, a group of grandees watch silently as a blindfolded Grandee Ramses tries to stab a portrait of King Willem with a wooden stake. Grandee Heavenly Chaos. We did this at my granddaughter's 4th birthday with a drawing of a pig. Finally, Grandee Ramses hits his mark, and a cheer erupts in the secluded villa. Grandee Ramses. Friends, honored guests, people of the faith, the 9th god has spoken. Now begins the final stage of our plan. Excommunication. Only one question remains. For which sin will the Archbishop excommunicate the king? So,
For which crime should the king be excommunicated by the archbishop? For tyranny and abuse of power, the oppressive rule of a dictator, raise authority. For greed and avarice, hoarding money that could be used to improve the peasant's lot, raise treasury. What's it gonna be? Heavenly Chaos wants to make it a battle for authority. Wow, holy shit, I just realized it's gonna be a 3-way battle for authority. The counts want it to 5, the barons want it to 1, and the grandees? What's your goal for it? Grandee Ramses, it shall be done. We must ensure that the king is seen as a tyrant. For the final stage of their scheme, the grandees must raise authority to at least 5. Okay. So. I don't know how to tell you this counts, but you have been checkmated. Your goal is to raise authority to at least 5 to get to the final stage of your scheme. However, if you raise that authority to 5, the grandees just win, because they are already in the end game. And meanwhile, the barons are trying to lower authority to at least 1 or lower. So, this is going to be interesting. Start the auction. Make thy will be known. 55 seconds. We've got a lot of funding coming out for the monument right off the bat. 2,000 down for the monument. Raising authority. It'll be up to 4. 40 seconds left. Let's see here. We got money coming out for the theater. Unknown contraption. Shadow, you need to flip your formatting there. Letter before the number. Grandee Hayato helping to make sure that this monument gets built. 15 seconds remaining. 10 seconds. There's still time for another building to be sniped in. People have the money. 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Alright. Buildings being built. We have the monument raising authority and the theater lowering authority. Continue to the rebellion report. And the grandees are still teetering at rebellion there. Alright. Your ambition. Spymaster. At the start of your reign, you said you wanted to be a conqueror. But so far, you've not convinced anyone. The kingdom's army is mediocre at best, Your Majesty. You won't be doing any conquering anytime soon. Your current ambition isn't working out for you. If you want to stop the nobles from overthrowing you, you need to pivot, change your image. My advice would be to infiltrate each region with loyal spies, defeat their schemes with schemes of our own. But your other advisors have ideas. Archbishop, Your Majesty, if you help us spread the zeal of the Ninth God, the Church will lend our full support. With the backing of the Church, the nobles won't dare move against you. Chancellor, the common folk are a sleeping giant that even the nobles are afraid to wake. If you become beloved by the peasants, the nobles won't dare overthrow you for fear of revolution. Treasurer, don't listen to the rest of these fools. Have you heard of the Scepter of Sages? It's a lost artifact forged by Queen Alma the Wise. There's a legend that any king who recovers it will rule over a golden age. So we can either create a kingdom-wide spy network, stability and trade, yeesh, get elevated by the church to the status of a living saint, authority and faith, or become beloved by the common folk, stability and farming. What's really funny is even with the counts having a trade of 0, trade is better than farming for me, because we have, what is that, 6, 7, 8? We have 8 farming and 15 trade. Or I could go faith and trade. Maybe. Let's create a kingdom-wide spy network. Who am I? What am I doing? What century is this? Hey, how's it going, Gemini? If you'd like to join, type !join and then your preferred pronoun, he, she, they, and it'll get you filtered onto a team.
All right, and I'm going for building a kingdom-wide spy network. A wise decision, Your Majesty. I'll begin recruiting spies. We'll send them across the kingdom in the guise of traveling bards. But this will require a fine touch. Your priority is to raise the kingdom's stability and overall trade as much as you can. And of course, there can't be open rebellion among the nobles. Bankruptcy looms. Is menace a pronoun that I can use? He, she, or they, unfortunately. The treasury is almost empty, Your Highness. What do you suggest we do? Apart from raising taxes, we have precious few options. You could get a bank loan, or sell off the crown jewels, or perhaps crack open some of your predecessors' tombs. Most were buried with piles of gold, or so I've heard. Let's see here. Alright. We're gonna have to play this fast and dirty. I cannot be fucking with my authority because currently all factions are trying to fuck with my authority. If the authority drops to 1, the barons win the game. If the authority gets to 5, the grandees win the game. So I can't necessarily lower my authority, because if it's a 2 lower, basically stats can change by either 1 or 2. If I hit a button and it lowers the authority by 2, I give it to the barons, which is not what I want. So we're gonna have to play it fast and dirty, make more coins. Fuck it, 10,000 coins. We're barely holding on. The Royal Mint begins churning out new coins, allowing you to pay off several old debts. It's fine. A letter arrives. Your wife Avina is busy reading her letters when she gasps. Lamentably, I have an enemy amongst the barons. Is this about your medical research? At least Countess Gemini thinks I'm doing a good job. Hey, let's go. We got Countess Gemini. One of the richest dynasties I've seen. Yeah, we just printed 10,000 coins. But Baron Chaos says the herbs are dangerous, that researching them will lead to ruin. Ignore the naysayers. Carry on. Bloody hell, this will end badly. You'll see. They stride off with Gemini in their wake. Avina turns to you, smiling. Great God, this will end badly. You'll see. Maybe, but my wife smiled at me, and that makes me a happy king. Thank you for believing in me, dear one. I promise by the blood of the dead that I'll make it work. Farming is raised, military is raised across the board. And she does. Soon the new herbal potions become popular all across the kingdom, despite grumbling from the nobles. Peasants report healing injuries that could have killed them before. Many are delighted with your wife's achievement, sending showers of letters and gifts to the palace. Let's go, baby! That's my wife! Alright, we gotta end the season. Alright, so we've got a pretty healthy treasury. The real question is, what do we do? Do I poke the grandees for a little extra money? I do enjoy having a nice fat treasury. And at this point, I can't do much about the defiance over in the south. Also, the barons invest wisely in the fur trade, making 500 wealth. I don't know what's going on. I'm just potato. So we have 2 factions that are in the end game. Unfortunately, Jim, you are part of the counts, and counts have been checkmated, essentially. In order to enter the end game, as you can see, there's like the different little pips there. The counts have 2 pips. In order to get into the end game, the 3rd pip, they need to raise the kingdom's authority to at least 5. However, the grandees are already in the end game. And if authority hits 5, the grandees win the game. So, authority hits 5, they win.
And the goal of the Baron's intimidation scheme is to lower the kingdom's authority to 1. So if authority hits 1, the Barons win. If it hits 5, the Grandees win. And, yeah, so currently the Counts are checkmated. In theory, the Counts could pull something back if the Grandees go into rebellion. Because if your faction goes into rebellion, you cannot win using your scheme, even if you meet the stat requirements. So, pretty much, the Grandees would have to give up getting authority to 5 if they wanted to rebel. But then, if they do go into rebellion, they would want authority to rise, because if authority drops, then the Barons will win the game. So, we are in a bit of a standstill at the moment. But Counts are currently in checkmate. Counts cannot progress without throwing the game to the Grandees. Alright, let's see here. Royal Enthusiasts. Chancellor, Your Majesty, the Queen Consort has amassed a great deal of popularity lately. Avina, yes, I didn't think it would be so successful. Hundreds of letters have been arriving at the palace. Some of them have even been making needlepoints depicting the two of you. Grimacing, they hold up a monumentally ugly piece of embroidery showing you and your wife sitting in a castle. You think, how charming. It's quite sweet, isn't it? Look, some of them even made replica coronets like the ones we wore at our wedding. Oh, and a group of my biggest fans want to come for a tour of the palace. What do you think? I'd caution against this idea, Your Highness. A certain distance from the peasantry affords respect for the royal family. Eliminating that distance, well, it could have repercussions. Oh, I hadn't thought of that. I don't want people stomping around. I can't lower the authority, or else... It's tough. It's tough. Very wise, Your Majesty. The nobles will have little reason to gossip this way. Your wife shakes her head with a sigh, but does not argue. I'm sorry, honey. That night when you go to bed, you find that hideous embroidery placed on your pillow, along with a note that reads, "It's such a handsome likeness, I thought you'd like to keep it." It's beautiful, honey. It's beautiful. Ambition Spy Network. Spy Master. All goes according to plan, Your Majesty. Let me show you. Your Spy Master takes you through a secret passage in your own private office. You emerge in a hidden chamber where a number of hooded figures are waiting. These are my agents. They can blend into a crowd as effortlessly as they can slip a knife between a traitor's ribs. How can we be sure of their loyalty? I've been very careful in my selection. You can rely on these agents. Soon they will infiltrate the courts of all the nobles on your council, disguised as traveling bards. One of the spies tosses aside her cloak, revealing a lute and colorful costume of a troubadour. With charm and flattery, they'll worm their way into your nobles' hearts and minds. And when we have a spy network the likes of which the world has never seen, I hope that makes even the Gaunt of Talon look like rank amateurs. Can they give us a song? A few notes are plucked on the lute. The assembled spies launch into a ballad. Let's go. It's actually not bad. Your toe is tapping. If you think this is good, you should see them throw a knife. You can cut a rope at 30 yards. This should put a stop to their foolish schemes. A few nuts? Susvet? Nah. My guy has a nut allergy, which is hilarious. Apparently the Queen of Tavalin, because we started a border dispute with her, invaded her country a little bit, started taking some of the border. Apparently she threatened with... she sent me a note. She was like, oh, it'd be a shame if something bad happened to you. P.S. I know about your nut allergy. I'm just like, oh, I'm being threatened. And it will keep the kingdom stable for the rest of your reign. A little blackmail is a small price to pay. A week passes before you hear more news. Your spy master arrives in your office with a tiny scroll, small as a cherry stem, clutched between her two fingertips. This is a message from one of our agents in the field, Your Majesty. I sent her to Countess Gemini's castle disguised as a bard with a flute at the ready. Open it. Of course. Wait to hear your success of your fledgling spy. The spy master studies the scroll for a moment, and a smile creeps across her face. She holds it over a candle flame, and it vanishes in a puff of cinders. Trade challenge succeeded. Alright, that's one coin flip. She's been welcomed into Countess Gemini's court with open arms, and is already flattering her with fawning songs. Let's hope our other spies are just as successful. Over the next few weeks, you receive back word from more and more of your agents. Almost all of them have successfully wormed their way into your nobles' courts. Now we must hope they can maintain their cover. Wait and see. Coin flip again. A few weeks pass. You wait anxiously for another message. When it arrives, however, your spy master reads it with a face like thunder. Do you want the good news or the bad news? I'll always start with the good news. The good news is Countess Gemini didn't find out who sent our spy to her court. The bad news is that she did work out she was a spy. We had to dredge her body out of a canal. Lovely. Just what I wanted to hear before breakfast. Gem, you're killing these traveling bards? They're not spies, I swear. The problem is that the kingdom is too unstable. Everyone's on edge. They're paranoid. If a bard shows up on their doorstep, they ask difficult questions. Of course, they're right to be paranoid, but it's no good for us. We need your nobles to be fat and happy. Over the next month, more and more of your spies are ferreted out and killed in increasingly gruesome ways. Luckily, your involvement remains a mere rumor. To improve your chances at victory, focus on increasing the kingdom's stability as much as possible in the next 2 seasons. The challenge will decrease in difficulty with each failed attempt. A strange encounter. I'd never put them in the canals. Bad for the fishies. I don't know. You're feeding the fishies. Now then, Count Vermeer. For the last few months, Your Grace, our new observatory has stood disused and forlorn. I went to visit it a few days ago, and the atmosphere remains as oppressive and creepy as ever. We stand little chance of reclaiming it. While I was there, I met a woman who'd set up a camp in the equatorial room. She claimed to be researching. From the look of her, I think she was a witch. A witch? Gadzooks! My thoughts exactly, Your Majesty. I hurried out of there to avoid being turned into a frog. Witches are not to be taken lightly, Your Highness. We must consult the council. So we can send a team of inquisitors after the witch, ask the witch to help reclaim your observatory, or let the witch carry on doing witchy things without interference. Up to you, my nobles. Do as you will. 25 seconds. Exclamation point vote, and then A, B, C, or D. Good drink. 10 seconds. So we got Countess Gemini, and then we've got Baron Chaos and Baron Unknown Contraption. We're having the witch help reclaim the observatory. Okay. Okay. Let's do it. High Inquisitor. You would seek help from a witch. This kingdom grows more corrupt by the day. Stability is now civil. The witch sends word that she would be happy to speak to the king, but she's terribly busy. She wants you to travel out to meet her. This is an outrageous demand, Your Grace. You can't accept, both because of the risks and because of the shame. Does it lower authority by 2? God, just... If I was at 2 authority, I could easily say no. If I was at 4 authority, I could easily say yes. But just being stuck at 3 like this is hell right here for me. Because I could go 2 up or 2 down with any button press that affects authority. And that gives up the game to somebody. Ignore her. You decide to let the witch carry on whatever it is the witches do. You can't make the abandoned observatory any creepier, surely. Alright. In season. Alright, so we've got Monarch's Golden Choice, Monarch's Iron Choice, or Stop the Count. I'm not going to take any of them.
Rebellion reports. We have no factions currently in rebellion, though the grandees are on the verge of rebellion. Alright. Let's see here. A mercantile complaint. Merchant from Grandees of the South. Your Majesty, the richest merchants in the South have bribed the Grandees to give them an exclusive charter. They now control all trade of perfumes and dyes, the South's most valuable goods. It's a monopoly, Your Majesty. They're scamming the public by fixing prices, pushing smaller traders like myself out of business. Something must be done. So, we can either monopoly, it sounds like good business, demand that the Treasury get a taste of the bribes, or declare the exclusive charter null and void. So, my barons, my counts, you could poke the grandees a little more. You could void out their charter if you were so inclined. If you were to vote C, it would let you take a stab at the grandees. But we've got Baron Chaos saying monopoly sounds just like good business. Ooh. Barons rallying together for good business. Alright. Voting is closed. So, stability goes up because of call for unity, and stability goes down because of the decision. You send the merchant away, ignoring his desperate protests. Over the next few weeks, more and more small traders across the south start going bankrupt. Trade is now dominant. Some grandees' wealth has increased. More money in the grandees' pockets. But the biggest companies are expanding each day and recording incredible profits. Time to open a bottle of wine. Alright. A plague of rats. Baron Shadow strides into the council chambers, distraught, waving a dead rat by its tail. The fields and barns of the march are overrun by vermin. We've no more poison for these horrible things. We can't cope anymore. So, we can either take that rat and go, the march can handle this alone, deliver a supply of rat poison, send them a shipment of cats, or hire some adventurers to clear out the rodents. Ah, let's go. We could hire level 1 adventurers to go clear rats. I'm not chancing my stability. Alright. What's it gonna be, my nobles? 25 seconds. We can tell them to take that rat and go, send them a shipment of cats, or hire some level 1 adventurers for them. Sending a shipment of cats is the will of Countess Gemini. 5 seconds. Make thy will known. Ooh. And the barons have decided they'd like to hire some adventurers. Luckily, the Adventurers Guild has an entire branch dedicated to vermin control as part of their leveling up initiative. God damn it, I was right. It's a bunch of level 1 adventurers. Don't worry, Your Majesty. You can rely on I, Graswald the Glorious, and my party of merry ventures to clear out these rats for you. Later, the adventurers are wiped out battling some kind of rat king in the sewer. The rodent population has gone down. Wait, later, the adventurers are wiped out battling some kind of rat king in a sewer, but the rodent population has gone down. Ah, memes. A brand new harvester. Grandee Heavenly Chaos. Your Holiness, the scholars and great thinkers of the March have invented a new farming implement. Some kind of horse-drawn machine that automatically reaps and threshes grain. They call it a wheat eater, and it's revolutionizing agriculture. It would be of great use to us in the south. Our farms are struggling to keep up with demand, you know. Baron Chaos. We'll not share the designs with the likes of you, Southern Leech. Our people worked hard on that machine. We deserve to reap its rewards, not you. So, we can either force the barons to distribute the designs, compensate the barons for the invention and share it with the other regions, Leave the machines on the march only, or halt the production of these machines. They're an affront to honest farmers everywhere. Go ham. What's it gonna be, everybody? I don't have a particular input on this personally. Countess Gemini coming in with B. Compensate the barons, but share it with other regions. Taking a dig at my treasury. 5 seconds now. Chaos also wants to be compensated, and so does Contraption. Alright. Compensate the barons for the invention and share it with the other regions. A fair price, I suppose. Rewarded for their ingenuity, the barons are satisfied, as is everyone else, who produce brand new wheat eaters for their farms at lightning speed. Farming goes up across everywhere. Not bad. So, end of the season, the barons and the grandees are still in the end game, and the counts are currently still being checkmated by the grandees. If authority goes up to 5, the grandees win, so the counts cannot go up to authority 5, and the barons want to drive authority down to 1. The grandees are also on the verge of rebellion. They can start a rebellion if they are so inclined. However, they have not been so far. Let's see here. Let's give it a try. Ambition Spy Network. Once again, my spies have embedded themselves in your nobles' courts. Hopefully they'll meet with more success this time around. Wait to hear if your spies can maintain their cover. 80%? A few more weeks pass. You wait anxiously for news of your spy's progress. One day, your spy master appears at your desk, her face lit by a triumphant smirk. Good news, Your Majesty. Our spies have uncovered some of your nobles' darkest secrets. Did you know Countess Gemini has an irrational fear of lemons? You do now. We even have a few illicit romances between the nobles and our generically attractive bards. The blackmail writes itself. This has gone better than I expected. I love lemons. It's moths. You do enjoy the services of an excellent spy master. But we can't get complacent. We must see our other spies are equally successful. Over the next few weeks, your spies send back more and more positive reports. Soon, you've established a spy network throughout the entire kingdom. It's with a sense of smugness that you call your next council session. As the nobles file in, you realize you know all their secrets, their weaknesses, everything. Grandee Ramses. Listen, Your Majesty, I was thinking that taxes have been awful high lately. Why don't we hold a vote on reducing them? No. But I must have misheard you. I just called a vote. Let's go. Chop chop. Spymaster. Grandee, can you come up here for a moment? I need a word in private. Grandee Ramses walks up to your throne, his face quizzical. Your spymaster leans over and whispers something in his ear, and he looks suddenly horrified. By the night, how did you know that? Only my mother knows about that. Sit down, Grandee. If the king doesn't want to vote today, there will be no vote. Grandee Ramses returns to his seat, trembling like a leaf. Countess Gemini. This is an outrage! The vote must go ahead! Hey, care for some lemonade? Leave me alone! I'll do whatever you say! About time. When you leave the council hall, the nobles are quiet. They know a new era has begun. An era of cooperation, or else. Your wife meets you back at your chambers, your heir Willem II in her arms. Very clever, Willem. Let's just hope it doesn't all blow up in your face. We should start teaching little Willem II how to follow in my footsteps. Good idea. After this, I get the feeling he'll be wearing a crown one day. That night, you sleep an untroubled sleep for the first time since you sat on the throne.
No matter their grievances, the nobles will never again dare to defy you. You simply need to mention, offhandedly, that you know what they did last winter, or that you know where they slept at night. Empire of Whispers. You won the game by establishing an impenetrable spy network. The monarch is victorious. The Baron's attempt to worm their way into the palace was uncovered, and a number of arrests were made. Baron Unknown Contraption ended his life, chained upside down to a dungeon wall. With their plans in tatters, the counts retreated to their castles to brood. Their olive branch was rejected, the secret of eternity that they had guarded for aeons. They would not be so kind again. In a sun-dappled vineyard, Zakina and Grandy Ramses opened a bottle of their finest vintage. Their schemes had amounted to nothing, but there's always next time. King Willem ruled from the shadows, getting his way in the council with blackmail and threats. The nobles were terrified, but the peasants considered it a golden age. After 15 years of unquestioned rule, King Willem died peacefully in bed, and the nobles let out a collective sigh of relief. So, Monarch stats, King Willem the Rich, who will be passing on a very hyper-inflated kingdom to Willem II. Alright, nobles. Our wealthiest noble is Baron Shadow with 2,200, and our poorest is Count Glenn with 200. Kingdom stats. Oh, my son has pink hair. Oh boy. That's my heir, everybody. Let's go. So, Authority 3, Stability 6, Treasury, pretty fat. And, man, that stat line. 0 trade counts, 2 military grandees. Crazy. Alright. Great host for the game? Oh, thank you, Chaos. I appreciate it. But yeah, it's been a little bit since I played King of the Castle, so I definitely wanted to do another run. That said, that is all the time I've got for now, though. So I'm thinking we will send ourselves on a glorious raid. So before I send everybody off, let's go ahead and, I guess, let's see here. Who is live? Ooh, we could raid Drac. That sounds like fun. Also, if you enjoy and want to be notified when I next go live, feel free to drop a follow. It's free, helps me out quite a bit. But for now, let's go ahead and see about giving Drac a raid. Be sure to give him a big hey-yo when you arrive.